This week I have a question for you. How is your environment impacting you? How is your environment impacting you? And I don't mean the environment, big E. I mean when you walk into your home, into your apartment, when you walk into your office, when you walk into the grocery store, when you walk into your backyard or out on your balcony or your patio. What is your environment doing to you? How is it impacting you? This is an important question because often, as we are working on being really aligned, knowing who we are, that requires lots of self awareness. And if we're not self aware, we often don't realize that there's maybe something in our environment that is actually causing some of the responses that we're having. For me, I've talked about this a number of times, right? Cluttered desk, cluttered mind. When my house is cluttered, I can tell it's an indicator for me. So a lot of people are like, oh, just get rid of the clutter. I don't always see clutter as a problem. I see clutter as an indicator for me. When I start seeing my space get really cluttered, my mind is cluttered. It's an indicator that I need to pause, regroup, clear some things out physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, clear my space so that I can think and move and be productive and do the things that I really say that I want to do. But that clutter is the trigger for me. I realized that it's bigger than that. It is bigger than just the clutter that I have in my office because I do tend to be a piler, right? I have things in piles, and if I put it away too much, then I can't find anything. If I put it in piles, my mind's eye can see where it is. But it's bigger than that. I cleaned my place the other day, and I'm by no means filthy, but I have a clutter issue sometimes. And I cleaned my place. I put everything away. In my office, I took out these bins that have been here for months with stuff in them. Took every bin, took some stuff, just gave it away, and moved it out of my office. And like when I walk in now, it's almost a shock because there's like free space on the floor. There's no bins on the floor. There's no junk on the floor. There's no paper on the floor. And I have space on my desk and all of these things. Well, I just got back from a retreat in Mexico that I really needed it very much. And at that retreat, it created space. It was a change of scenery. We talk about that a lot, changing your scenery in order to give your mind something else to think about and something else to focus on. And in that space in Mexico, we were at a resort. I had room to really contemplate about some things, think about some things. I designed my whole new webinar. There's some things I'm doing to promote it that just came up, just real clarity and freedom of space, freedom away from just the stuff I see every day that gave an ability to be open to some other possibilities and all that stuff that's bottled up, that creativity that we know we have, the messages we know we want to give that somehow we can't attach to and bring them forward. All came forward. I came back from Mexico, and it's like the minute I walked in my house, it was like, oh man, now I got all this stuff I need to do. I need to get my foundation fixed. I need to figure out what I'm going to do about my plants. I've got all the stuff, right? Just started kind of caving in. And I didn't feel peaceful. I didn't necessarily feel happy to be home. I mean, I was glad to be able to sleep in my own bed, and I was glad to be back in my house. I'm so blessed to have this home. While I don't believe it's my forever home, it is very much a blessing, and I'm so grateful for it. And yet, when I walked in, I didn't feel peace. I didn't feel that grounding. I didn't feel like, I'm home. I didn't feel that. I felt all the other stuff. And that's why I ask you the question, how is your environment impacting you? And I realized through this pandemic, as I'd started my business in 2018, and then through the pandemic, I was always working at home, but through the pandemic, I was really at home, just like all of us, all the time. Now, as an introvert, that wasn't really traumatic in the very beginning. But after a while, even I got to the point where it's like, I really need to get out of my house. And what I realized was through this 5 years of being in business and all of the ups and downs and my own head trash and the narratives and all these kind of things, that I've been working through as I build this business and as I show up for all of you and get things ready to deliver. All of that stuff is in this space, right? I'm not talking woo woo. I'm saying it really is pervasive in the space. In this space, I have experienced all these things. I've experienced all the highs. I've experienced the lows. I've experienced the moments of, you have got to be kidding me. I've experienced the moments of, do I just need to go back to corporate? I've experienced all of that stuff in this space. And so as I walked around my house and I see the crack where I need to get the foundation done, or I see, I need to change the battery in the alarm again, or whatever, right? The dust on the baseboards, the imperfections that I see, there is a real ability to look at those and immediately go to just paralysis. Well, because I'm seeing all these blemishes, all these things are not perfect. It's just a mess. I'm just not even going to try. Not even going to try. It doesn't matter because it's going to look awful because I've got this little tiny crack in this thing. The whole thing is going to be done. How often do we let our environment and something small in our environment completely take over our entire emotional being, our entire sentiment? It gets in our core and it takes over our thoughts. And all of a sudden we are just not doing anything we wanted to do that day. We're sitting in the mess and the madness. What is your environment doing to you? If you're going into an office every day, now there's post-COVID and you in one of those companies that said, everybody's got to come back, and you walk in and there are still sanitizing stations or not, or some people are in a mask and some are not, or it's completely back to normal as if nothing has ever happened. How is that impacting you? Are you really in need of some normalcy? So it's like, oh, this is great. I can actually breathe. I can see people and we're talking and it's great. Or is it, okay, they want me to come back, but I am so not ready. I don't know how these people have been moving. I don't know who's had COVID, who's not, who's vaccinated, who's not. I don't know. I've got kids at home. I've got aging parents at home. I got stuff and I cannot take this chance, right? What is your environment doing to you? And therefore, how is it impacting your ability to achieve the vision that you've set out for yourself? How is it impacting your energy to move in action? How is it aligning or not aligning with who you are? I had company not too long ago, and as soon as they were done, as soon as they left, they made up the beds and everything before they left. And I said, just don't worry about it. Don't strip the beds. It's fine. And they ended up making up the beds and all of that. And that very day, that afternoon, I said, you know what? Let's just do this now. Now, remind you, I had cleaned up. I had redone my office. There was just stuff I had gotten out of the way so I could see things. I redid every bed. I took everything off. I cleaned everything. I sprayed everything. I vacuumed everything. I remade all the beds, all of that. There was such a peace and relief in knowing everything was clean. Everything was clean. I dusted. I did the floors. I did all of those kind of things. Now, I still need to call somebody in to do a really deep cleaning because that's making me crazy. And I just don't have that kind of energy because I really want someone to get in the deep corners, all that little stuff that you can't see. And yet by cleaning the space, smelling, right, the Lysol and the air, the laundry freshener, there was something about that just gave me more peace. I wasn't waiting. It wasn't sitting for me. I wasn't going to come back again and say, oh, okay, somebody's coming in next weekend and I've waited now to the last minute. I'm going to be up all night, doing the laundry. That ability to understand and recognize your environment and how that environment is impacting you is critical to your power, the power of choice, the power of action. Right? The power of moving into that vision that you see for yourself and the life that you want to create and the career you want to create for yourself. What is the environment doing to you? If you're in a toxic work environment, what is that doing to you? Making you think you're nuts. Dreading every Sunday night. I didn't sleep on a Sunday night for 5 years. Dreading that Monday. That meeting you're going to go into, that one more project that's not going to get done, that blame that's going to be placed on you because somebody else didn't do their job, all the politics. What is that environment doing to you? And then when you answer that question for yourself, the next question is, And so what am I going to do about it? Because we have the power to change. We have the power to make choices. We have the power to do something different in order to get something different. It only takes one person to change a relationship. Can you do one box tonight? Get rid of one box. Can you go in one closet tonight and say, you know what? If I'm not wearing it, it's out of here. Can you make a decision that frees you up? And what I mean by that is I had bins of things, right? I had after 5 purses. I had really fancy shoes. I had stuff that wasn't so fancy. I had, you name it, I had it. Appliances, all kinds of things. I've got more crap that I just don't need. And I said to myself, well, I want to give it to Dress for Success because they can really use it, but they only take donations on this day, and I need to shred paper, and they only do this day and this day. And I found myself, again, the environment now is full of all of this stuff, piles of stuff that need to get out of my house, right? Once they're gone, the space is free. But then I let the environment of even giving become a burden. And finally, I sat back and I said, okay, this is insane. You need it out of your house because you are not using it. And it is not doing anyone any good, including you, to just keep it here. So we are going to take all this stuff. We are going to say a prayer. Lord, whoever gets this, please let this be a blessing to them. Even though I have no control over who gets it or how the organizations I donate to use what I donate. That is out of my control and not my business. What is my business is it is not serving me and is most certainly not serving anyone else sitting in my house gathering dust. I said that. I gathered it all up. I took it right over to an organization and said, here it is. Here's some after 5 stuff. Here's some appliances. It was all clean. It wasn't dirty. It wasn't gross. It wasn't any of that kind of stuff, right? I'd done all the work to make sure I was giving good things to people, but it's out of my house. And I let go of the control of having to make sure it went to the right place and got in the right hands. You know what? That's not my business. What is my business is creating an environment for myself that enables me to show up as my best self as often as possible. We all have days, but for the most part, I want to be able to show up as my best self, because by showing up as my best self for me, then I can show up as my best self for you. And the whole purpose of me being here is to be in service to other people and to make an impact so that no one else feels the way I felt. That we all get aligned, that we know who we are and where we are, that we can get clear on what we want, clarify that vision, and then we can move into empowered action, because we're all already empowered. We all have the ability to take action, but we need to empower ourselves to take the action that's necessary to get what we want. And by cleaning out our environment, by creating spaces that give us freedom to think and to be and to move, we are able to show up and give the best we can in the places we want to give. Because if not now, when? If not you, who? I say, let's just do it. Life is too short. Go eat the cake, go take the language, go take the class, go take the trip, go do what you need to do to create the environment that is going to work for you. And let's make some great stuff happen. Have a fantastic week this week. Thank you for tuning in. Please pass this along. If there's somebody that you know who could use this, who is struggling with their environment, please pass this along. And if I can be of service to you, head to my website, click on the contact button, get on my email list, and you'll get all of my weekly emails. And there's going to be some stuff that's coming out as well. And feel free to unsubscribe. I try not to overwhelm people because I don't like to be overwhelmed. But would love to have you on the email list because there's some stuff coming up at the end of the year and in 2023 that I'm really excited about to serve. And you can also DM me. Just reach out. If I can be of service, I would love to be. And if I can't, I probably know somebody. So have a great week. Give yourself some space. Clean out the mess. And let's move forward. Take care. We'll see you next time. You have been listening to the Rutledge Perspective Podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and for connecting. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on my website at laurelrutledge.com/podcast. You can also find me on social media at Laurel K. Rutledge and or The Rutledge Perspective. And I'd love your perspective on the things we talk about. And if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, just let me know. And please share this podcast with someone in your village who may need this little piece of perspective today. And if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review on the platform of your choice. Apple Podcasts and Spotify reviews are particularly helpful. Thank you again for listening. Take care.